welcome to my channel. My name is Sonia. This is Sonia with an I. I'm so glad you're here. Today I'm going to be bringing you my May reading wrap up. Now, I did do a mid-month wrap up of May. It's a lot of M's. I did a mid-month wrap up. So what I will do is share the books that I read in May, the ones that were featured in the mid-May wrap up. I won't talk about those as much. I won't give a summary. The ones that were after that, I will get into a little bit more detail. So May was a wonderful reading month for me. I read 14 books in May, which is more than my average. And I, really kind of got out of my box a little bit and read some things I don't normally read. I participated in 2 readathons, which I don't normally do readathons at all. So everything was sort of out of my box for May, and that was okay. It was a good time. The first readathon that I participated in was the middle grade May there were 4 organizers of that. It was Lee from Dark Roots Creations, Storm from Storm Reads, Beth from Soul Stain Inc., and Lizzie Faye Loves Books, Elizabeth. They had May reading prompts for middle grade books. So I read quite a few middle grade books to participate in that activity. Then I also did Mystery and Mayhem with This Bookish Cottage. Maddie is the host of that channel, and it was a lot of fun too. I was part of the Sleuths team, and the Sleuths won. Yay! So I read some of her favorite books because they got the most points, and I am really glad that I did. So let's share some of these books that I read. First of all, the first book that I read in May was Murder Always Barks Twice by Jennifer Hawkins. It's part of the Chatty Corgi series. It's the second one. I really enjoyed it. I gave it 5 stars. The next book that I read was The Secret Serendipity. It is by Kathy Nickerson, and I gave that book 3 stars. I read that for middle grade May. Then I also read Gertie's Leap to Greatness by Kate Beasley. I gave that 2.5 stars. That was also a read for middle grade May. I read Death by Smoothie by Laura Levine. I gave that 5 stars. I love that series. It is fantastic. I love it, I love it, I love it. There's the new one's coming out soon. Can't wait to read it. The next book that I read was A Cold Nose for Murder by Jennifer Hawkins. This I gave it a 4.5 stars. It is part of the Chatty Corgi series as well, and I believe it's the last in the series. I think the series only went 3 books, sadly. Loved the series. A wonderful discovery for me. So excited. I really wish there were more books. The next book that I read was Till Daft Do Us Part by Philippa Clark. I gave that 4 stars. I read All Fudged Up by Nancy Coco. I gave that 2 stars. I then read The Kamigawa Food Detectives by, I'm going to try to say this correctly, Hisoshi Kashiwai. I think I said that right, or close to. I gave that 4 stars. This book was about a daughter and a father who run a restaurant and a detective agency. And it's not your typical detective agency. They research and find lost food. So people will come into their restaurant and talk about a food that they ate when they were a child, and they can't find that food, and they don't know how to describe it. They don't have the recipe. They don't know where that came from. And so the the daughter and the father kind of put their heads together and they investigate. It reminds me, it's set up similarly to As Before the Coffee Gets Cold, but I didn't enjoy Before the Coffee Gets Cold nearly as much as I liked the Kamigawa Food Detectives. It was cozy, the food vibes were fantastic, and it's set up in little subsections. So the first chapter is about a certain sort of food. Like one of them was, I believe it was tuna sushi or something, and then the next one was like beef stew. And so it's set up in the foods, and each of those foods have some really heartwarming story about the memory of food, and I really loved it because food does hold memory for us. When we eat certain things, it reminds us it can remind us of the past. It's why we hold on to like old recipes and things so much, because it's what our granny made, or it's what your mama made, or what your dad made. So I I think about, anytime there's a barbecue and I can smell Maul's barbecue sauce and it makes me think of my Uncle Terry. It's food has memory and connection. So I really enjoyed the book, 4 stars. The next book that I read was also for middle grade May, and it was A Girl Called Al. It is by Constance Green, and I gave it 3 stars. Al and the narrator, they never name the narrator, and it's from her point of view. Al is her neighbor and becomes her best friend, and they're in 4th grade. I'm sorry, no, they're in 7th grade. They're in 7th grade, and Al is a little different. And this book was written in the late 60s, so it is kind of a product of its time, because the main character talks about how, she didn't really like Al at first because she was fat and she did things her own way. And Al talks about how she's a nonconformist, so she's kind of a feminist character, sort of. But the main character and the narrator grows this friendship with her. They live in an apartment building together, and they also become friends with the supervisor that's there. And the friendship, like the older person and the young people friendship, I think is darling. And it kind of breaks your heart a little bit too. It gets a little bit sad. It hits into some very relevant relevant issues of the day and of our current day. I thought it was a really cute read. I really enjoyed it. Like I said, I gave it 3 stars. The next book that I read was for the Murder in Mayhem reading challenge. It was called Tress and the Emerald Sea by Brandon Sanderson. This is my first Brandon Sanderson read, and I really enjoyed it. I gave it 4 stars. So Tress is this young girl, and she has this love interest, or this friend. His name is Charlie, and they play this. Tress is a window washer, and she's very poor. Charlie is the son of a duke, and he plays off that he's not, and he kind of tells Tress that he's just a regular everyday guy, but he really is. He's royalty, and he wants to marry Tress. He wants to be in a relationship with Tress, and his father wants nothing to do with it. And so he sends Charlie off to marry, and Tress decides that that's not okay, and she gets word that something's wrong with Charlie, so she decides that she's going to leave this island that no one ever leaves, because the water, or the sea, is nothing but spores, and if those spores get wet, then they immediately start sprouting, and then they're deadly. So she decides she's going to put on her brave hat and go on this wonderful journey. And it really was so good. There's a lot of side characters. There is a zombie doctor that I laughed out loud multiple times. I didn't realize how humorous it would be. I laughed multiple times. I really enjoyed the ride. I really enjoyed the book. I thought it was so cute. I gave it 4 stars. And as I was listening to the book, I was putting a puzzle together as well, so it just kind of added to the cozy atmosphere. Cute little adventure story. I would totally recommend it to anybody who likes a good adventure. The world building wasn't super hard. I kind of wanted a little bit more. I wanted to know more about the sea spores and just kind of the world. Like, I kind of wish it would have had a map. Anyway, great book. Like I said, 4 stars. And it was one of Maddie's favorites, so that's one I chose. Another one of Maddie's favorites that I chose was Pride and Premeditation by Tazira Price. I gave it 3.5 stars. It is a YA retelling of Pride and Prejudice, where the main character, where Elizabeth is she's trying to become basically a lawyer, but women can't do that in those times. So her father is a constable, and so she goes and works with him, and there is a murder, and there's an investigation, and the rival law firm is the Pemberley law firm, and it's historical, but it's still kind of, it takes a little bit of modern twist to it. Like, Lizzie is often unescorted and that would be a big no-no back then. But it was cute. It was definitely YA. It was cute. I gave it 3.5 stars, like I said. It was an enjoyable read. I'm glad that I read it. I don't know. I think it's a series. I don't know if I'll continue the series, but I enjoyed that read. The next book that I read was Daisies for Innocent by Bailey Cantrell. I gave it 4.5 stars. This, I really, really enjoyed this one. 4.5 stars for a first book is a huge rating. I think that's awesome. But the main character's name is Eliana, and Eliana has, she's had a really nasty divorce, and she refuses to leave her hometown because she loves it so much, and she just doesn't want to leave it. So she's decided, she puts her foot down and she decides, you know what, I'm not leaving my hometown. And she's always been, her gran has taught her all of these flower, like what flower meanings are, like the Victorian flower meanings, and smells and scents and what goes with what. And she kind of creates this perfumery aromatherapy, if I can say it correctly, shop. And she does this, and she calls it Sense and Nonsense because her ex-husband always told her it was a bunch of nonsense, that, you know, it doesn't really have any sort of, you know, it's kind of hokum basically. And she does all this research, and she puts these scents together that helps people to either, you know, ease a lonely heart, or remember the past, or find comfort in things, or de-stress, or whatnot. I thought it was super cute. She has a corgi, and he's cute too. He's so cute. He doesn't talk like the chatty corgi, but he's still cute. I enjoyed the main character. I liked who she was as a person. I liked how she investigated. She wasn't overly pushy or a doormat. I really liked her character. I liked her best friend character. Her best friend was like her ride or die, ready to take out the ex-husband, because the ex-husband is a jerk, huge jerk. And it was a great story. I would suggest, I will continue this series for sure. And if someone said, hey, you know, what's a cozy mystery that you've read lately that you would suggest to somebody else, this one would be one of them. It was really enjoyable. I think it's called the Magical Flower Garden or something like that, but it didn't really have any, I didn't feel there was any hoodoo voodoo magic-y kind of thing. Maybe a little bit with her gran, like she had some feelings about her grand's spirit or something, but there was no ghost, there was no anything like that. If you are a paranormal light person, or you don't like hardly any paranormal, I think you will enjoy this. The next book that I read was Death at Bishop's Keep by Robin Page. I gave it 4 stars. The main character's name is Kate. This takes place in the Victorian times. Kate is an American, and she goes to England to meet her father's 2 sisters, to go work for one of the sisters and to help them. But she's she's not a very Victorian lady. Like, she likes to wear, you know, pants, and she's also a mystery writer. She writes for these mystery magazines that only men write for, but she writes under this pseudonym, and she's very interested in the occult and death and all these things. And she joins her aunt, and her aunt is also a member of kind of an occult situation, and she starts getting to know more and more about her aunt. And her other aunt is very staunch and very against it, and kind of not a very nice person. So I really enjoyed this series. I love Robin Page. Robin Page is also Susan Whitting Albert, who I love Susan Whitting Albert. This one was not cozy like the Cottage Tales of Beatrix Potter. But it was very well researched. There was a lot of things that I learned that I didn't know about Victorian times. I really enjoyed it. I will continue the series for sure. The next book that I read was Be Careful What You Wish For by Linda Riley. This was an ARC from NetGalley. I gave this one 3 stars. This was the, I believe, 4th book. I'm going to check and make sure. I believe it's the 4th book in the Grilled Cheese Shop Mysteries. Yes, Grilled Cheese Mysteries, 4th book. In this story, we have, we're back in Balsam Dell. We have our gal. She is our gal Carly, she is working that cheese shop, that grilled cheese shop, and man, some of the creations that they make just seem incredible. This book takes place in the summer, and she has a delivery driver named Ross, and Ross goes to deliver this grilled cheese sandwich to this older lady who is not very well liked, and he discovers her dead. And of course, there's the mystery and whatnot. I will say I liked this one. Don't get me wrong. I liked this one, but out of the 4 that I've read, I think that this was my least favorite. Some of the characters that I really liked in the other books didn't seem to have a bigger part, and there was a lot of different relationships going on, but it's well done. I enjoy the relationships. Like I like her and her beau. They're fine. It's not some, it's not an annoying type relationship, but I don't know. This one just didn't hit for me. And that's why normally I give these 4.5 stars, and this one was a 3 for me. So I will continue the series when there's another one written. It could have been me. I like I said, I normally love these. I liked this one. The recipe sounded delicious. It was like a raspberry grilled cheese. That sounds delightful to me. So everything seemed really great there. I feel like I had a really good reading month. How was your reading month? How was May for you? I was listening to several of these books. I mentioned earlier that I was putting together jigsaw puzzles, and I wanted to share those with you too. So while I was listening to, let's see if I can remember, while I was listening to Daisies for Innocence, I put this puzzle together. I don't know if you can see that. This puzzle maker is trying to hold all the puzzles into this at the same time. I'm going to put my glasses on just to do these. So this puzzle maker is onetreeplanted.org, or that's a sponsor of it. This is the Mardell Schuster collection. It's called Tea with Wildflowers. It's KI puzzles. It was 550 pieces. I love to put puzzles together that are 300 or 500 pieces because it's like a one night put together. And this puzzle, the colors are gorgeous. The cut of the puzzles though, some of them were wrinkled. I don't feel like it was a good quality. So if I had to rate this out of 5 stars, I would have given this a 3. It wasn't really great quality. I found myself kind of ironing out some of the pieces so they could flatten. I buy all my puzzles at thrift stores, but this one was sealed brand new. I do love that it's part of the onetreeplanted.org, and it supports like a small time artist, Mardell Schuster, and it's lovely. But like I said, I don't feel like it was really well made. The next one that I put together while I was reading Pride and Premeditation was this World of Jane Austen puzzle, as you can see here. Now, this puzzle, as beautiful as this is, and it comes with a huge poster, and the poster names like all the folks that you see, like all of the people. It tells you who they all are. Like, up here, this is Pemberley, and there's Darcy, Mr. Darcy, and there's Elizabeth, and like all the other characters. And I only say that one because that's only Jane Austen I read. But this puzzle was a beast. It is 1,000 pieces. The maker is Lawrence King Puzzles, and for the cost of this, I don't feel like it was well made at all. These puzzles usually run between $25 and $30. I see these at bookstores a lot. When I was putting the puzzle together, first of all the pieces are exactly the same shape. So there's no way to find out where the puzzle pieces go. And then also, when you put them together, you could spread them apart like it was like chain mail almost. Like you could bounce it up and down and it wouldn't stick. So if like you would put one puzzle piece in and 3 other ones would flip out sometimes. It was frustrating. As gorgeous as this puzzle was, and as much as I loved the map, and doing a Jane Austen while reading something Jane Austen, so cool, such a vibe, I did not love this one. I probably would give this, as far as picture goes, I would give it 5 stars. As far as putting this mother together, I give it 2 stars. Not so wonderful. And the last puzzle I put together while I was reading the Bishop's Keep, the Death at Bishop's Keep, was this one here. Now, this is a Blue Mountain puzzle, I believe, or White Mountain puzzle. I'm sorry. White Mountain puzzles are my favorite. I love these collage puzzles. The theme of this is called Games We Played. The puzzle pieces are large. They're very well made. I've put together more of these than I can count, and I have loved every single one of them. They do have kind of a higher price point. They're usually between $20 and $25, but like I said, I buy all of my puzzles at thrift stores. I rarely pay over $5 for a puzzle. And this one was not sealed brand new. This one was put together. So, you know, you take a chance when you buy them at the thrift store. There might be a piece or two missing. I have yet to do that, and like I said, I buy all of my puzzles at thrift stores, and I really loved this one. And it just kind of, I don't know, it was sort of retro, made me go back. You know, I remember this game. I don't remember ever playing it, but I remember it. And Hi-Ho Cheerio is one of my favorite games. You know, Candyland, Chutes and Ladders, Twister. It just kind of brought me back. It was a fun put together, and even though it's 1,000 pieces, it still went by pretty quickly. I really enjoyed this puzzle. Now you might be asking, Sonia, why are you talking about puzzles when this is a booktube channel? But I love doing puzzles, and I love talking about books, and I will say 90% of the time, if I am listening to a book, I am putting a puzzle together. So that's kind of why I wanted to kind of tie those in. And if you're interested in learning more about puzzles or me doing puzzle reviews, please mention that in the comments. If you've read any of the books that I've read and made, also mention that in comments. And if you made it this far, show me you're a real one, and let's put some flowers in a flower emoji in the comments for Mayflowers. You can either put the ship or the flower, up to you. So thank you so much for watching, and if you would kindly please like, if you have not subscribed yet, please do, and please know that you make this world a better place just by being in it. Until next time, I'll see you later. Happy reading.